Okay, so here we have the new Holland T4.95, and I want to do an oil change on it, the engine oil. So essentially the manual does call out what to do. It indicates where the drain plug is located, which is below the fill point on the engine, and also shows where the engine oil filter is, which is behind the two diesel filters on the essentially the driver's side, if you will, back in this area over there. So with the new tractors have new oils to meet emissions requirements. So this is the Unitech Master Gold 10W40 CJ4, has a couple other specifications behind it as well. You can see the part number MAT3521, and here is the filter. So I think everything here was about $55 or $58 or something like that. First step, raise the hood. Second step is going to be to remove this panel right here. I believe this is 13 millimeter. So pull that off there. I already started to unloosen it, or to loosen it. There. So this is going to come off, and let's see where that was, right up there. There we go. A little bit of a challenge to do one-handed. You can kind of see you got the one bolt or nut on this bolt, and then you got some guides located in there. So here are the two diesel filters, and the engine oil filter, which I'm going to be interested to see how this goes, is located back in here. Oh, it's kind of tough to see it with the camera. Back in there. So we shall see how this goes. I've got some, I think, air conditioning lines in the way and whatnot. They have not made this real convenient, I can tell you that. But we'll have to fight through it, see how I can snake that filter out of there. And I'm sure I'll be draining some oil as it happens, so I'll have to clean that up. So we'll see what we can do with that. So we said on the driver's side, diesel filters, and behind that shows the engine oil filter. So I'm going to drain the oil first, and so let's come on the other side. So on this side of the tractor, the oil drain is located right there. So that's where I'll drain it. And then the fill tube is located right there. Alright, so the engine oil filter, give a frame of reference, I'm on the driver's side, if you will, or the left-hand side of the tractor if you're in it, is located behind the loader mount, behind the two diesel filters, as I've said, and you can see it back in there, and there's this bracket that's in the way. So I'm looking and I see a couple bolts to unbolt that bracket. I'm really thinking I'm going to need to take that bracket out in order to get at the engine oil filter. And it looks like that is a, let's see, 13 millimeter. So there's two bolts that essentially hold it. I'm going to try taking them out and see if I can wiggle that engine oil filter out of there. So this does have a 600-hour service for engine oil, but it of course always has a disclaimer if you're running it cold weather, things of that nature. I do use this in the winter. It doesn't necessarily run for a long amount of time, so I'd classify that as kind of more extreme service. So, you know, for me, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Now, if it was an easy oil change, which we'll see, you know, it'll be easier to say that this is worth doing, but for 50 or 60 bucks in my time, you know, I have 140 hours on the tractor approximately, but about a year of service, a little over a year. So I'm changing it out. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I got the filter out, and I will tell you, it is not easy with the diesel filters in place. And I really didn't want to pull those, but this bracket, you got to kind of pull it out of the way, and you can kind of see where the filter mounts down below. Everything is tight, and the filter that came with the tractor was put on by a gorilla or someone with amazing strength or whatever, but it took a lot of effort to get that thing to unscrew. And since you don't have any place to work, you need to have a lot of strength in your wrists and forearms and be able to move like a quarter of an inch at a time to get that thing to unscrew, but we got it. So now I'm going to make sure the new filter is lubed up. This is the old one. Got the new one right here. So get the sealing surface prepared on it and put it over there on the tractor engine. So, as I said, not real convenient. I always hate it when they engineer these things and they could just route these things to a remote system, you know, remote location, and have a nice, easy access point. It's kind of like the hydraulic filter. It's right there. You just get under the tractor, you drop it off, put the new one back on. Same for the auxiliary transmission filter. But this engine oil filter, man, it's in a bear of a location. So, all right, we'll keep going. So I got the new one back in. You can see it right there behind that bracket. Took me literally 20 seconds to get that one in. Just kind of flex this bracket back, and it kind of fits in behind there. And I gave it, you know, tight plus a quarter turn by hand, which I was getting on it, but I do not want to bear down too hard on that with an oil filter wrench or anything like that. So I'll clean the drips up, and then I'll drop the oil out of the other side, and we'll be good to go. We'll fill it up. You can see I got my Allen wrench in the drain plug right now. That is a 12 millimeter. So you want to make sure you have one of those. And you want a little bit of a breaker bar, because that baby is in there tight. I got it loosened now, but whoever put it in there at the factory definitely wanted to make sure it wasn't coming out. So we will make sure it's tight, but not too tight when we put it back in. Alright, you can see the drain plug here. And it does have an O-ring embedded in it. So you'll want to make sure that that O-ring looks clean, that it's actually there. If you don't want to lose it. Make sure there's no nicks or burrs, that way you don't have a leak path. And then we'll put this bad boy back in. The manual says 2 US gallons, so I have 2 US gallons plus I bought an extra quart just in case, so we'll check that out, make sure that's accurate. Sometimes in the conversion those are not accurate, but we'll fill it up and see what it says. Okay, so now oil filter is back in there. The bracket is retightened to the tractor, and I put the guard back in place. Hood's dropped, and oil is in the tractor. Drain plug is tightened. Checked the oil, everything's good. Let it run for a couple minutes. Rechecked it. So again, you need a 12 millimeter Allen wrench. You're going to need a socket in order to get the bracket, and then you need just a wrench to get on the guard here, get that one bolt out. Other than that, you need some patience and a bit of hand and arm strength to get your hand in there and get everything the way it needs to be. But now that I know what I'm up against, next time it won't take so long. And hopefully this helps you if you're getting ready to do an oil change on a T4 series tractor. Don't be afraid of it. Just go into it knowing that a little bit of a hassle getting the filter out. Other than that, pretty straightforward. And good luck to you. Thanks.